So, Rick, as you know, my daughters don't really care at all what I do.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will say, we've got a guest coming up, and this is who it is, and they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't care. Until today.
Until
Julia
today.
was out of her mind
Yeah.
when she found out. She's a huge fan of our guest's music as well as her work on television.
Yeah.
And I'm a cool dad.
You
For
are.
Father's Day coming up
Well,
this
tell
Sunday.
everybody who it is.
Hayley Orrantia, who's a singer and songwriter and an actress. We are going to be talking to her in just a second.
Here we go.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
So, Dave, your daughter's excited. I'm excited. We have a big star on the show this week. Hayley Orrantia is a singer, songwriter, actress. If you're a fan of the ABC hit sitcom The Goldbergs, which I am, Hayley plays Erica Goldberg on the show, the main character's sister. Welcome to the show, Hayley.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm a big fan of the Goldbergs. I admit I started watching it because I know Jeff Garland from his days here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But I was immediately drawn into the nostalgia, the 80s nostalgia, because that's our era. It's obviously not your era because you were born after that.
Right.
But there were so many 80s icons that appeared on the show. I mean, it's a long list. Just a few of them. Anthony Michael Hall, Steve Guttenberg, Charlie Sheen, Weird Al, Rick Springfield, John Lovitz, Kirstie Alley, Christy Brinkley. I mean, the list goes on and on. David Hasselhoff. Do you have any good stories about interactions with any of those people?
Those 80s people.
Yeah.
Oh man, good story. That's the hard part is we did 10 years of this show. And so sometimes it all just blends together. And we've had so many incredible people. I would say the first one that just comes to mind was maybe the Charlie Sheen one, because that was really that was season 1. And that was my first scene with such a well-known celebrity like that. And we were recreating his iconic scene from The Breakfast Club where he's at the police station. And so, was that Breakfast? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ferris
Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
We had also done an episode about that. And there's so many 80s movies we've covered, so they all blend together. But yes, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So the scene at the police station. And I was just so nervous because acting was something that came a little later for me. Music was always kind of the goal. And so then I found myself on this TV show already feeling a little bit like imposter syndrome. And now I'm acting across Charlie Sheen. I can't talk this morning. Yeah. Charlie Sheen.
Well, you did a scene with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister.
It was really scary. I just wanted to make sure I brought my best that day. And he was actually very kind and, very excited to be involved and bringing some ideas to the table. So it was as intimidating as it was to get into that scene. I just remember that being kind of a moment in my life of oh my God, how did I get here?
Yeah, I bet. Well, the one that I remember that you probably had the most interaction with was Rick Springfield. That one episode, because you guys, didn't you sing together and everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think Wendy was the one that got to sing with him, which I wish I could have gotten to sing with him. But he was actually great. I remember he had been doing a show the evening before he needed to be on set, which I think he needed to be on set at 6:30 in the morning. So he had just gotten done. A concert usually ends at 10:30, 11, depending on the show. So he wrapped his show in a different state, got on a flight, and then landed and went essentially straight to set. And he was very tired that first day of filming, which I don't blame him. He could not have enough coffee in him. And then by the second day, he was definitely refreshed and feeling 100%. So I just really admired his ability to do all of that in such a short amount of time, being thrown into our show. But he was great. And that was so cool to get to perform his song on the show.
Did you talk to your mom about that? Because I bet your mom probably had a poster of him on the wall when she was
my mom is definitely freaked out or fangirled, I would say, over several people we've had on the show. George Siegel, as one of the series regulars, was a big one for my whole family. They're like, I cannot believe you're getting to play his granddaughter on this show.
So great.
He was one of the biggest movie stars in the world in the 1970s. George
Yep.
Siegel.
Oh.
So
Such a great, like, I really can't say enough good things about him. Like, I miss him so much. He was such a professional. And by like, he would just come to set. He knew exactly what to do. He nailed it every time and was just such a joy to be around, had the best stories. And his laugh is the thing we talk about the most. Mm-hmm. Like, he just had this iconic laugh that it's very hard to recreate, but if you were able to get him to do it, it was just such a moment of like, yes, I did that for him, you know?
Well, I can tell that there was a real connection with your family on screen, and you were there almost family off screen too, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, 10 years together.
Yeah.
I would say not even just the cast, but the crew too. There's been crew members we've had since day one. And I think once we wrapped that final day, it was very emotional because it hasn't fully set in for me that we're not going to get to see each other every single day, you know? And it's definitely a family.
Now, your character, Erica, is based on Adam's brother, Eric. And he actually appeared in a few of the shows. Did you ever get a chance to really get to know Eric and, you know, because it's...
Or even meet him? Yeah. I mean, does he...
Yeah. I mean, Eric and his family, really everyone has visited the set. Some people more than others, but I've met Eric and his family a few times now, and they're always just so nice. Like the sweetest people. And I want to say, I don't remember the last time it was that I saw them, but I do remember him, for the most part, being very okay with my character being one of the only ones that was based on kind of a different gender, and being able to sort of hide behind like, oh, this isn't a story about me. It's a story that Adam made up because we didn't have sisters. So I can just make the excuse that, like,
yeah, right.
You know, which I don't blame him, because you're putting your family's like dirty laundry or funny stories on display for 10 years. Like, there's definitely things you pull from. And so I think he kind of enjoyed being able to be like, it's not about me, even if it was. But they were very sweet.
Yeah, there's an A at the there's an A at the end of the name. It's Erica. It's not anywhere near that.
It's called plausible deniability. That's what that is. Yes,
absolutely. And I get that for him.
Well, one of the things I thought was smart about the show is they realized that you had these musical abilities, and they incorporated that into the show. And you obviously have some talent. I know not too long ago you were on The Masked Singer. What was that experience like? Because that seems like a really bizarre show.
You're not wrong. I had seen commercials of this show, and I thought, what a silly thing. Like, why are people doing that? And then I started getting tweets of people guessing that I was people in previous seasons to the one I'd been on, thinking it was me. And I'm like, oh, there must be something to this show. And then my parents started watching, and then I was like, oh, I get why this is addicting. Like, trying to figure out the mystery of it. And then I was able to somehow, you know, get my way on the show, which was incredible because music's like my first love. And getting to do that on a platform at that scale was wild and terrifying, especially when I'm doing it like in a mask and this heavy costume. And, you know, it's already hard enough to sing some of the songs I was singing just without all of that. So it was a physical challenge for me as a singer performer. But it's a memory I will always have and cherish because it was, it's what I love to do.
What was the costume? Cool. What was the costume you were wearing?
My character was the ringmaster, and it essentially was like a cat head in like a circus tent.
Yeah.
Like my skirt was like 7 or 8 feet wide, and it was meant to look like a circus tent. And then I had like that sort of ringmaster coat on top and a really tall top hat. I will say, of many costumes on the show, I think it is one of the prettiest. And so I was very glad that I got that one.
Well, you weren't on the same season as Rudy Giuliani, were you?
I hate to tell you I was.
Oh, my God.
What's he like?
I didn't actually get to meet him. So they break it down into sections of like 5 each, and like he was on a different like week they were recording, like group, I guess. But I just remember that his week had shot prior to my week, and there was a lot of news drama that had come out. Like they weren't supposed to be outing who was on the show already because the season hasn't aired yet. But but it was definitely upsetting to a lot of people, I guess. And I'm like, are they even going to finish the season? Like, I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was fine. And I had a blast actually doing the show.
So my 3 daughters are huge fans of your music, and we are still recovering. I am recovering from the Taylor Swift. You've heard of Taylor Swift, right?
Who was that?
Yeah. So last weekend or was it last weekend or 2 weekends?
In Chicago,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
we're in Chicago. That's where we're
oh my God,
from.
it was... Let's just say I'm happy the woman left town. She's a very nice lady. I drove her to the airport. I made sure she got on the plane, and we are never ever getting back together. But my daughters are really into Taylor Swift, and Julia, like I had mentioned in the opening, just loves your stuff, and she was really genuinely excited to hear that you were going to be on the show. A few years ago, you released an EP called "The Way Out," which was a real personal. It was about a real personal breakup after a boyfriend stole some of your money, right? Wasn't that now
he sounds like a peach, by the way.
I picked the good ones. Yeah.
Well,
I did settle on a really good one, though, by the way.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And from what I understand about Taylor Swift, she tends to write about things that don't especially have gone right in her relationships, right? Yeah. So heartbreak really does sell. I want to hear a record about something going really good. Why doesn't that ever happen?
Like a deliriously
that's
happy.
So funny you say that, because for the longest time it was so hard for me to write a happy song. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is about like my nature, but I just write these sad ballads. And it used to really frustrate me, because when I had this EP, obviously that was for a very specific reason. And I was definitely writing that for therapeutic purposes more than anything. So all of those really are ballads. But I had the thought of like, people like don't want to just hear ballads. Like they want that fun upbeat song, but I cannot seem to get myself to write genuinely about a subject with that. So I've been working on new music, and I plan on releasing an EP. And finally, I don't even have a single ballad on the EP.
Right.
So it's been a challenge for me, but sometimes it's just hard. Like a heartbreak is easy to write about in a way. And so I get that. I resonate with that. And hopefully this next one will be a little more cheerful than the last.
I saw an interview of Paul McCartney one time, and he basically said the exact same thing, that writing the happy songs, those are the hardest ones to write. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason that is. It's hard to say why that is. So
I don't know.
I don't know
what it is.
You're not going to write a song about our interview. It'll be a happy song, won't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That would be a big sales tool there.
Right.
Yeah.
What rhymes with minutia? That's actually a very hard word.
That's a challenge. That's a fun challenge.
So you consider yourself more of a singer than you do an actor. Is that true? Or a musician or a musical artist?
I definitely did for the majority of my life. And I think while doing Goldbergs, for a long time, I felt like that was what I would constantly say and lean on. It's like, no, but this was all because I wanted to do music. And I think in the last year, I've really come to terms with like, but I've been acting and I enjoy it. And I think that it's something I want to continue to pursue. And there's something there, I guess. And so I've stopped trying to stray away from saying like, no, but I'm an actress and I also make music. But it's hard, like trying to balance the two can be difficult, because at times, even though they feel like they should kind of go hand in hand to whatever degree, they are very different industries, and they're very hard to, I guess, within the industry, it seems like it's very difficult for you to be both.
Well, it's hard to break into either industry, and you've broken into both. So that's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean,
you and Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah,
exactly. We're both. I'm waiting for his next EP.
You're a better singer. Let's just say that flat out. You are a better singer,
and probably a better lawyer too,
and a better governor,
and a better human. So congratulate all of that.
You win.
Erica did used to say, I could have been a lawyer. So clearly, there's something there.
So last year or was it last year, 2 years ago, you were in a movie called Christmas is Canceled.
Yes.
But it came out during the pandemic, and it didn't really play in I don't know if you remember the pandemic. Didn't really
that little thing?
Yeah. Didn't really play in theaters, but it was on all those streaming services. Is doing a movie any different than doing television, or what is and certainly it was, is the process different for you? Do you like one versus the other? I don't know. Talk to me.
That's a great question. It is different than filming a show, because in the case of our show, we went 10 years, we shot at the same place. And so it was very consistent, and it felt like what I imagine a regular, you show up at work kind of thing. It's regular job. But with a movie, it's almost like camp. Like, you go, typically it's on location somewhere, especially nowadays. And so you go out of town and you hunker down with people you've never met before. And week 1, everyone's trying to figure out their footing. Week 2, we're getting a little more comfortable. And by week 3, which is, depending on the movie, in our case, it was about 3.5 weeks. Then we're like, oh my God, we're like a family and we're having so much fun. Like, now it's over. And then you just never see those people ever again. And then the movie comes out. So it's just such a different experience, because I bonded so much with people on Goldbergs, and that's a family for a decade, whereas I worked with a lot of those people on Christmas Is Canceled, and I have not seen them since. So it's just a very different experience in the process, and I love both. I think the phase I'm at right now, I'm really looking forward to doing more movies, because I am just trying to find that work-life balance and tying in like wanting to make more music. And with that, like, sometimes the TV schedule doesn't lend itself to that very well. So doing a one-off project here and there sometimes can be better. So
you zip
I'm hopeful.
You zip out. It's like going to Wisconsin. Yeah,
exactly.
So I don't know if you know this, but Goldbergs is on. I'm sure you do know this. It's on in every country in the world, basically. I just
except for the anti-Semitic ones. I think.
Well, that's probably true.
Not huge in Iraq, evidently.
No, not very big over there.
But it is in, here's just a few of them: Australia, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Turkey, France, Spain, India, Germany, Portugal, Italy, South Africa,
Germany.
Ukraine.
They don't have any sense of humor in Germany.
Well, apparently they do. And also Israel. So my question to you is, do you have any stories about encountering like international fans being recognized in places that you would never expect to be recognized?
Yeah.
To be honest, I have not traveled overseas a ton.
Okay.
And I am hoping my honeymoon is this year after I get married. And so
well, congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When's the big day?
It's in October.
Okay, writing it down.
Cash bar, cash or free bar, open bar. What do we get?
Cash bar. No, but our honeymoon, we're going to be bouncing around to different, European places, and I was kind of wondering if that was going to be the case or not. But as far as like, I've traveled a lot within the United States, and I definitely will have, unexpected interactions in places that, when we're working on the show. We're working with people, like I said, for 10 years. It feels very much just like we come to work, we go home, that we don't interact with people who actually tune in all the time, if that makes sense, especially in LA. They don't talk about it. Like, if they do recognize you, they don't bring it up. But so when I travel to like Nashville a lot, or back to visit family in Dallas, there'll be some people. And it's always just kind of wild to think like, oh my God, yeah, like people do watch this show.
Yeah.
Like it really always does take me a little by surprise. And just incredibly grateful that they did, because then I was able to work for as long as I did with these people that I love.
Well, you were young when this show started. I mean, how old were you?
I was 19.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been part of your life for, most of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to need therapy come August, when we would typically be starting up again, and we're not. I'm going to be like, life is different now. But.
So the Goldbergs is officially over, right? I mean, is it?
It is.
Yeah. That's too bad. That's too bad.
But you had a good run.
You had a good run. He ran out of home movies, I guess, huh?
We did. We were like, what more can we talk about in the 80s? But I think the funny thing is the cast is always talking about like, hey, with the way reboots are going, if in a handful of years the network wants to do it again, I think the whole cast would do it. I feel like us talking about it as much as we are, though, we're going to jinx it. But I just have like a gut feeling that could totally happen one day, and we would all be so down and excited for it. So who knows? One
of my favorite podcasts is Talking Sopranos with Michael Imperioli and Steve Schripp. You guys can do a podcast, a Goldbergs podcast. And
funny you say that.
Yeah.
like a series of people who worked on the show, the prop master, the set designer, and the UPM on our show. They have a podcast now called Goldbergs Rewind, and they started it. Their first episode was the finale, and every episode they bring on a different cast member or crew member, and they're going to go every single episode in chronological order. So they have 200 something episodes that they can do.
Wow.
And I'm hopeful that they will see it through, because I got to do one episode already, and it was really therapeutic, like fun to go back to season 1 and talk about what it was like to actually make the show. And great to like relive those memories. So you're not too off about.
We're an idea. We're idea guys. That's
we are. That's why we do this show. Well, this has been a thrill talking to you. You're such a nice person. You can tell that you're a nice person. We wish you best on your wedding.
Congratulations.
And your honeymoon and your future career. Right. And Dave is now a star in his own house.
Until about
for having spoken to
2 o'clock this afternoon. And then I'm going to be drive me here or whatever.
And then it's all over.
You brought the wrong ramen. You know.
Then your next goal, you got to get Taylor Swift on this podcast, and then you're dad of the year.
No, I am not talking to that woman. We have broken up. I am not talking to that woman. She's caused me enough issues.
I respect that.
So if people want to follow you, what is the best way for them to do it? You have like social media or a website?
Yes, I absolutely love TikTok. I know that's ridiculous, but I am all over TikTok. Hayley Orrantia, it's just my name on that platform, as well as Instagram, Facebook. I'm not really on Twitter. I kind of was like, you know what? I don't need it. Yeah. So been like purging social media platforms where I can, try to live life, in the moment. But yeah, I'm on there just under Hayley Orrantia.
Okay.
Well, keep in touch.
Yeah.
We'll
next time you have an album out, we'd love to have you back
on. And
thank you.
We'll see you at your wedding.
We can play some of your happy music.
We want happy music and Rick and I we really can cut a rug on the dance floor.
Yeah.
So you'll see us at the
Plus,
wedding.
I know how to mix a Manhattan if somebody wants one. I can do.
You'll be bartender and hype man.
Happy to do it.
Yes.
Great. Good.
Good luck to you. Thanks for everything.
Thanks for being on the show.
And be well.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There she is, Hayley. She's just a delight.
Delightful
person. Have you noticed that when we have younger guests on that you and I turn into dads?
Yeah.
we are that's what we are.
Right.
We're dads.
Yeah. Next time we have her on, it's going to be marriage advice.
Right. It'll be very edgy. Edgy.
Extremely edgy.
Super edgy. Well, we need to thank some people. First of all, thanks to Brandon Herman for scoring that. That's a big star we just had there. Also, special thanks to our executive producer, Tony Lasana with opishows.com. Opie is hippo backwards. OPPIHshows.com. We're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place, radiomisfits.com. And we'll be back again soon with a brand new episode of
Minutia Men Celebrity Interview.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
Radio Misfits, promo take 24.
Guys, we are part of Radio Misfit Podcasts Net.
Radio Misfits, you idiots.
We are part of...
I didn't really make it intended to be a tongue twister.
I know. We are part of the Radio Misfits podcast.
Promo 26. I'll be here all day.
We are part of Radio Misfit Podcast Network. And
close enough for government.
Yeah, close enough, huh?
Let me say it. Radio Misfits. Douchebags who can't speak. Hear it on the World Wide Web.